Look, there's people over there.
Nope.
Hello, Kitty.
Hey, you're on. No, over here.
I can speak Cantonese.
Hello, welcome back to Showboys, episode 8 of Arcane season 2. We're here to recap, break it down, let you know our thoughts, and yeah, we're coming down the wire here. One more episode after this one, so gonna be lots to talk about the next two weeks. This episode, next episode. But before we get into anything, Nick, Venom, you guys are back here with me. How y'all doing tonight? Venom, we'll start with you.
Doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Being minorly harassed, but otherwise we're here. Good to go.
Maybe a wild cat sighting during the episode. You never know.
You can always pursue legal action if you're being harassed.
True.
Against
Nick,
the cat.
how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah?
All right. Not too shabby. Yeah, I mean, I'm sad that this is
so
the
close.
penultimate
Yeah.
of the last riot show we'll ever see.
Yeah. For at least probably a decade.
Yeah, right. That's my fear. It's like they're
If
in
it
no
takes
hurry.
As long as season 2 took to come. Yeah.
That's right. And in like 4 or 5 years, they might invent IMAX.
Ooh, and they'll make a movie.
Yes.
Invent movies.
Yes.
Yeah, I know we did this like episodic thing.
Yeah. Did you know you can put all of them together in a single showing?
Yeah. It's really crazy.
They call it a super.
No one's ever done it before.
Right.
Yeah.
Needs a new
Did
name.
you guys know that they make massive movie screens in front of many, many chairs that you can go to and view these things together with other people?
And then no one's going to laugh when it costs you $250 million to make it.
Exactly. But yeah, no one's laughing here because we love this show. Top tier patrons, you guys rule. We also love you. Joe C, Yusuf H, Tim B, and all of our other lovely patrons. You guys rule. Thank you for your support. If you're wondering how you can support us or what even Patreon is, you can head to patreon.com/showboyspodcast. It's just a simple way you can sign up to financially support us on a monthly subscription basis. There's 4 different price points starting from $1 all the way up to $10. They'll come with different perks and benefits, such as early unedited access to episodes before they release, exclusive Patreon only episodes once a month, and things like that. So go check it out, patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Sign up today. There's one last thing that you need to do. You need to enter the Arcane Season 1 Blu-ray and 4K Steelbook giveaway. Subscribe here to the YouTube channel and leave a comment on the video so we know you want these, because unless your YouTube settings are set on public, we will not be able to see that you subscribed. We'll just see a number go up. We won't see any name, so it'll be hard for us to give this away to you. And these things are awesome. Steelbooks. Arcane Vi is the Blu-ray, and Jinx is the 4K. Very, very beautiful looking Steelbooks. We want to give these to you, so subscribe, leave a comment, and let us know you want them. And we'll be giving them away next week in the finale. So with that out of the way, we have an episode to talk about. Killing is a Cycle, episode 8, season 2, the penultimate. Nick,
Murder.
thoughts? What do you
My
think?
thoughts? Yeah. So this was an interesting episode for a variety of reasons. We definitely explored. I think we advanced the plot lines ever so slightly, but not too much. We can't move a show that ends in all but an hour too quickly, because I don't know. We might just make too much progress on the plot.
Which is
we
funny because we're in the city of progress, but not much is being made.
Yeah.
Episodes for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because we took very long about ways, very cool long about ways to kind of just, mildly advance the story. Some things we already knew, some things that were sort of brand new, just kind of combining concepts. Kick things off with Mel, which was appropriate. We had not seen her for like 2 episodes, so we're making our rounds here. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just more setup for like whatever the finale is that must string a lot of things together there at the end, I hope. Because I still have, I think the things that I was like answered, I wasn't really completely like, thank goodness and gracious that they gave that to me. Whether it was, the Jace Mel reunion. I will admit though that like the Victor Jace Mel reunion was very awesome in this episode.
Yeah.
Some other reunions, lots of reunions, I think, this episode, because I'll see Vi and Caitlin get back together in jail. That was interesting. I forget if that was the beginning or was that like somewhere in the middle of the episode.
That was at the end.
Yeah, that was towards the end.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't know. That scene worried me for moments there. I thought we were gonna risk the whole like identity of the show on like a nip slip, like Venom said, or like just went full frontal there, and I'm like, oh man, they're gonna have to animate all this, and like they're really brave. Like leave things behind closed doors. We got our
the one skill the Fortiche artists are not willing to show off at the moment.
Exactly.
All the other artistic styles we've had so far, that's where they draw the line.
Yeah. I'll just get this out of the way now. Everyone already knows I'm pretty prudish when it comes to this stuff in movies, shows, or whatever. But like, it's a freaking cartoon. Why are we drawing this? Like,
well, so
dumb.
I didn't have issues with it happening. I had issues with how we got there and where it's happening. And it was just, they made the entire thing as blatantly fan service. Hey, this had to happen. We only have 1 episode left. Oh my God, where are we going to put this? Yeah. And then just threw it in there. It's like Vi walks in to save her, what appears to be very suicidal sister, and gets locked in there. Kate comes and finds her. And then this is apparently how none of it made sense. It didn't make sense thematically at all. It was just, they threw this in there just because they're like, oh, that's right, we have to do this somewhere, and we only have 1 episode left after this.
And it's also just like the kickoff point there was like some corny ass Caitlyn line about like my guards, like they're all gone, like suggesting, and then it just clicks. It's like, oh my God, we got a bone right now. That makes total sense, Caitlyn.
Nothing about, oh, we might only have 6 hours left until an army of the undead marches on the city to murder us. No, just hey, did you think I needed all of my guards at the Hex Gate? It's like, yes, you do need all of your guards at the Hex Gate. First
actually,
thematically, I was like, this place is empty because they should all be there. And never mind, isn't a prisoner. And every guard should know that. This isn't
also Vi.
She has blue hair, not red hair. What's going on?
Right.
Vi just like all of a sudden no longer caring about her sister's well-being either. Just like instantly. Like, I know my sister's probably going to go kill herself, and I was very, very concerned about it. Right. But since you mentioned it, who cares anymore?
It just made 0 sense at all. Incredibly frustrated. I don't, because we got it in season 1 with Mel and Jace, and that had been building up for a couple of episodes. We knew it was going to end. It certainly seemed like it was going to end there, and the way they did that with I believe there was the Jace stuff going on where he was having the wasn't that where Jace first started to meld with the hex core or something like that? So you get these back and forth of the two different scenes, and you've got, this is the kind of corruption of Jace pulling away from his goals of Hextech, and Victor kind of being consumed even further into it. So we get this really cool kind of thematic background going on.
Well, it advances the story at that point in the story.
Yeah. And then we just get this one that
This does not advance the story.
No.
Zero.
Like boobs. Oh man. Yeah. So Venom, your thoughts on the episode?
So the first time, like I said, I watched through 7, 8, and 9 straight through. And for the life of me, leading up to talking about these episodes, with last week being the Echo and Heimerdinger, I remembered that happened. I could not for the life of me remember anything that happened in episode 8. And that is probably how it's going to go down in history. Like Nick said, we have one episode to go, and this is the episode they give us. There's just not, the pacing in this season is so off. We have some episodes that skip massive amounts of time and throw a ton of stuff at you, and then we get other episodes where we have 35 minutes of following Jinx and Vi through an abandoned iron mine or mine of some flavor. And it just doesn't really make sense, the pacing on how everything goes. So there is some frustration in how they've decided to lay all of this out and where they decide to put a lot of their time. That said, the information that we do get does appear to be quite large, as far as, Mel's continues to explore her full powers. We don't really know what's going to happen with Jinx now, because she's going to go try and murder. Well, we probably can piece together what's going to happen with Jinx, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll see if you guys come up with it later on.
Okay.
Yeah. So and we get the progression of how does Victor fare. So we get answers to how everything happened after, let's see, it was episode 6 was the big explosion at the commune. So we get some big information and whatnot in the parts that do provide us information. It's just there's so many holes left to fill, and we didn't really touch on even a quarter of them, it seems.
Yeah. So, man, you're right. I wonder. Obviously they had to have known the shortened plans of the series before making this season, right? Like, it's not like they made this season and then we're like, oh yeah, by the way, this is your last season.
Yeah, it's been interesting trying to watch the reporting and everything, because of course originally, before the season releases, you get reports that, hey, this could have been all the way up to 5 seasons, and the showrunners and Riot have been very, very, very hard in the paint on no, this was always only supposed to be 2 seasons, and then we were going to branch off. And I think there's been a lot of kind of PR on trying to sweep under the rug people's feelings that this was rushed for whatever rushed, meaning should have been more episodes or should have been another season. Not necessarily rushed in production, because they did a good job with what we are seeing. It is just the issues appear to be, there's so much more that should have been seen. There's so many gaps left that could have been covered and filled, and there's no way a 45 to 60 minute final episode is going to cover them. Okay. So I feel like, I don't know if it was before the season began production. It almost seems like partway through the season, they're like, this is costing too much money, we need to wrap this up and just kind of finish it with what you have. So I don't know. It's hard to say, but it certainly seems like this, at the very least, could have really deserved a third season.
Yeah, because I just wonder with like you mentioned, and we've pointed out in our coverage of season 2 so far, the pacing does at times seem pretty slow. Like they're just slow burning a lot of threads, right? And if you are aware that this is your last season, it makes me wonder why you would take that route. But yeah, Nick, where do you want to start, man? You just want to start with Mel?
Yeah.
Where we start with the episode?
Yeah.
Mel. Yeah. So Mel, we're there. We see her. She's still like bound by the chains of her Black Rose captor, and she like Super Saiyan breaks out, like goes 9,000 or whatever. I don't know. I never watched
Super
Dragon
Saiyan.
Ball. Yeah, there you go. I'm not a Dragon Ball guy. Yeah, she just explodes with light, breaks out of her chains, and we get like this little dialogue between her and who I will continue to assume is LeBlanc, but yet remains to be unnamed. And we still have not seen her like true form. She keeps, shape shifting into these personalities, like her brother. She turns into Ambessa. She turns into
Mel herself.
Yep, Mel, and then the black shadowy figure, of course. But yeah, what'd you think of this opening, Nick, with Mel and her new look now? She's got a little more decked out in gold.
Yeah, definitely cool. I mean, these are times where I feel like they should have given more time to things like this, and maybe like in more consecutive order, right? No need to like have this gap here. I feel like it loses a little bit of steam from where we left off with Mel. But it was definitely cool, and get some nice, a little bit slightly different version of the story that we know that's going on here with her mom, her brother, her, a little bit more of the motive, right, of the mage sorcerer thing here, because really it's like, you're one of us, and it's kind of going against the whole family thing that Mel knows that her mother is all about. But the one thing I was really worried about was, especially having just emerged in a new form, I would not immediately agree to put on a magical looking necklace that looks like a slave collar immediately in my mind. I'm like, I want to put this on and you're just going to have control of me. Like, that's where my brain went. I'm like, why would you put that on? Just don't.
She just is like, okay.
Just going to join this cult right now.
Not even going to ask any more questions.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just too forward for me. I don't know. I was like, that doesn't seem like a good idea at all. It's like, gotcha. It's like, here, put this on. Just because, it's just this is a necklace that we identify ourselves as. Not the fact that we have powers that not everyone else has, but, put this collar on. It'll be safe. It'll be okay. But I don't think it meant anything, because it so far never revealed itself. She's just kind of walking around, melled up. She put some clothes on later on in the episode, and she went to visit Jace.
Yeah.
She's like, Jace, you don't want to see what's under here because you'll lose your mind.
Yeah.
So, no, yeah, I think that was good. But again, not like a little bit move forward that whole storyline, but like not a ton, right? Like still,
well, like the dialogue is like definitely a few minutes long, but I also feel like not a lot is actually said.
Right. It's another. There is a lot here. there is actually a lot here if you pay attention to the visuals going on and the story that the clone tells Mel. So first off, you get Mel breaks out of the chains. She shows up in a giant rose rune on the floor with binding posts all around her. So she's been trapped in a mind prison this entire time, not an actual prison. They have been in her mind, basically testing her to try and bring her powers forward. Because this clone, again, I assume it's LeBlanc as well, just based on the way it acts. And we don't know of anyone else that's capable of doing what LeBlanc can, especially since mages have what appear to be specialties. So it would be really weird for another mage to have the same specialty of LeBlanc.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's LeBlanc, and she has been prodding and poking and testing Mel to try and bring these powers forward. Why is she trying to bring those powers forward? She speaks of this mighty calamity coming, and then shows in the background a giant tower with a robed mage figure with a cane standing there and talks about destruction. The mages are trying to stop, we assume, the same thing that Jace saw in the alternate reality or whatever. So they are trying to unlock Mel's powers to stop her mother from bringing about the calamity. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, but they just present it in such a horrible way. And then like they're just like, Mel's just kind of like, oh yeah, that's how we probably should stop her. And kind of puts the necklace on and it's like, show her some of what Victor saw, or not. Show her some of what Jace saw. Yeah.
I mean, that's a confusing thing though, because it shows, you know, like the hooded figure atop, basically what Jace saw and went to in his, but it's like that entity, assuming that's the same one from the beginning of in season 1, gave Jace the rune, would send him down the hex tech thing. So that dude in turn is like, hey, here, I'm at the end of time where this bad calamity happened in this alternate reality. Here, go back and stop it happening in yours, which I caused in the first place. But then, like, is LeBlanc and the mages like trying to stop that entity, or is that entity like on its own trying to stop the same thing? It's very confusing. So, like,
are the mages actually the ones pushing the calamity forward, and they're trying to use Mel to further their goal?
Yeah, then it's like, is it
Mel? As Mel, you need to be asking these questions.
Right.
She's just like, oh, word salad, great. Give me the necklace.
Right.
I like that.
More bling for my golden bling at all.
Yeah, exactly.
More bling. And then
it's like, is it setting up a conflict between Jace and Mel, because they're seemingly on the same side right away?
Right.
But it's like there doesn't seem to be, for us as the viewers, like, because obviously they haven't talked about any of this. Like, Mel hasn't told Jace what she knows. Jace hasn't told her anything about what he knows. So it's like, maybe that's on purpose, because they are coming from two different sides of the same motive here or whatever. Because
well, and they've both been like trapped in respective weird realities for quite a while. So just another small thing about why I think this figure, the sorceress lady that Mel is talking to, I don't want to call her figure because we've been calling the hooded figure the figure, so I don't want to cause any confusion there. So the sorceress that Mel is talking to, just another reason why I think LeBlanc makes the most sense, is this is all kind of Noxus political intrigue going on here. Like, LeBlanc is just a big like stir of the pot of all the Noxian generals and stuff, and Ambessa is seemingly a pretty powerful Noxian general. So this, much to like what you guys were just talking about, where maybe the goal isn't to prevent the calamity like she's making it out to be, but to cause it could be a very real possibility to, you know, usurp Ambessa in some fashion, or maybe like have her be a casualty of this calamity or whatever. And I say that I support what you guys are saying, because while you guys were talking, I was trying to do some digging on Rise, because we think that Rise is this hooded figure, right? And Rise's whole thing is he's just like fascinated by runes, and he like travels around and collects these runes. He believes they're fragments of raw ancient magic that once shaped the world, and he is dedicated to collecting and safeguarding them to prevent their destructive power from falling into the wrong hands. His main goal is to find and bind these world runes before they can be misused, making him a guardian against potential catastrophic events in Runeterra. So, if Rise is the hooded figure who gives Jace the rune in the very, second episode of the series, and is this hooded figure that appears to Jace in this like alternate reality and apocalyptic scenario that sends Jace back to reality to prevent this, that would make sense, because Rise's whole purpose in the world is to safeguard Runeterra from the misuse of these wild world runes that he believes once shaped the entire world. So like
that makes sense why the world is called Runeterra.
Does,
yeah.
yes.
Well, and the world runes were the rune wars, which happened, I think, several thousand years prior to all of this.
Yeah.
And this is I don't know if it's the mage wars that Heimerdinger speaks of, because Heimerdinger is obviously only 300 years old.
Mhm.
So there must be, every so often, there's mages that, as they're born, they come into power through their arcane arts, and then kind of go crazy because of the whole, they're human, and the same thing that makes them do great makes them also do evil.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of a recurring theme here. But yeah, so Rise, as far as I understand, was present during the Rune Wars, saw their destruction, and is now taking it upon himself to collect the world runes so that it cannot happen again.
Yeah, so maybe
it still doesn't necessarily make sense if the rune that he gave Jace is what allows Jace to then bring about the calamity. Why did he give Jace the rune in the first place if he then has to go and tell Jace to go back and forward to kill Victor to stop the calamity?
Maybe he didn't foresee what he gave Jace, like causing the anomaly thing, right?
There's probably a fork in the road that he wants Jace to go back to correct. And probably the difference is Jace went completely one direction with it. And,
or perhaps Mel intervening has thrown him off his course or something like that. Another mage showing up has,
it's like,
changed
for some reason they needed the hex tech, but not to the degree it originally goes with Jace. It's like, we need the hex tech, yes, to exist, but we need we need to move in a slightly different direction, kind of thing. And maybe, I mean, and honestly, we know that the hex tech lures out quite a bit of activity, whether it's the Noxians, and Bessa trying to acquire it. Obviously, the mages are moving firstly against Mbessa and Noxus, but also they're probably seeking, hex tech and or the wild runes themselves. So it's like, probably for some reason that needs to be drawn out in the first place to kind of bring it all to a head.
Like they need the magical energy, because that's what brings forward Mel's powers, is her proximity to the arcane has started to awaken the magic and arcane within her. So perhaps they need to accelerate magic within Piltover to expose a world rune or something of that flavor.
Would
Yeah,
that be
maybe.
why Mbessa was okay with, or maybe that's why Mel ended up there, because they don't do
Because
magic.
there's something there that there's something else at play that we don't know of that powers the mages and Mbessa and possibly Rise are after.
Potentially.
It could. Again, we have an episode left to try and answer all of the questions.
Yeah. So this opens me up to a new outlook. Like, yes, the immediate concern is of course Mbessa and Victor versus Jason Mel, right? The incoming Piltover undead hive mind robot war that's coming. But I think like the main thing, I mean, there's only one episode in Venom, you've seen it. So only you can confirm or deny this right now, but don't do it because I want to go in and be severely disappointed with the finale like I normally am. But what if the main conflict is actually Rise versus LeBlanc over this world rune that maybe is discovered? Maybe that's the wild rune that causes the anomaly. Maybe what Rise gave Jace like wasn't one of these crazy runes, but just a rune, right? I don't know if there's a difference between just a regular old rune and a world rune. But yeah, I don't know if like mages can particularly be like all knowing and see the future. So like maybe Jace gave, or Rise gave this to Jace and then not knowing the consequences of that gift, or maybe he did know and like Nick said, like needed something to happen along the way. But yeah, I don't know. What if this is LeBlanc versus Rise actually? Yeah. Anyways, back to Mel and her powers and taking this necklace. What class do you think she's going to be in League when she becomes playable? Seems like a support.
She almost has to be if she's declared as an empath, and the first use of her ability is a shield to protect her and Jace from dying. And then again, later on, we get the fight scene. It doesn't appear that she can really do. She might have some kind of snaring ability, because it seems like she tries to kind of lock down the
robot thingy.
The whatever soldier, I don't know the name for them, but it seems like she kind of tries to lock it down and then puts out shielding powers to. So she's almost got to be some kind of support.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say. Do you want to stay on the Mel train and just talk about her arc through the entire episode, or you just want to go kind of like chronologically?
Let's do something totally innovative and try and follow a story to the finish and not bounce all over the place like these episodes like to do.
I don't think anyone's ever done that in the history of podcasting. So we're going to invent just following a character all the way through.
Right.
And then move on to the next character. So Showboys first. You heard, this is the first time it's ever been done.
Stuff about LeBlanc and Rise and
so like next time we see Mel, her and Jace are kind of hanging out in the council chamber. Which, by the way, when we get to the shot of the council room and the gear table, the council table they all sit around, it looks like a gear, which is really cool.
Well, it looks like they took the original broken table and kind of pieced it.
Yeah, dude, it looks so cool. I love how they put it back together like that. But yeah, Jace comes and he's like, "Oh, what? How does their conversation even start? Are they like, is he angry to see her or surprised to see her? Like, I forget exactly how that whole encounter in the council room begins before the Victor controlled robot Husk comes in.
It's a weird it's a weird start to the encounter. So Jace is just kind of standing there, and then his hammer suddenly reacts, and his arcane hammer apparently sends.
Is that what we're calling it now?
I don't know.
His hammer reacts to Mel's new look.
Yeah. It picks up a disturbance in the force and glows suddenly.
This is going downhill quickly.
So he turns around, and Mel walks in and drops her hood, and somehow Jace has pieced together that Mel, not surprised at all to see her or to see that she's now a mage, has somehow pieced together in his head that she's the reason he survived the encounter, and then all accusational starts accusing her of not protecting the rest of the people in the room and gets pissed off that she didn't keep everyone else alive. And she's like, I didn't even know I have these powers. I still don't know. I don't know the extent of my powers. I don't know how to control my powers. And Jace is just pissed off because all of this happened because of her. And it's like, well, no, you're the one that built all this crap to begin with. But I guess she and Jace gets mad at her then for, I think that's this part, right? Where Jace actually gets mad at Mel for basically picking Jace and Victor up and pushing them down the path to create all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's just trying to throw blame at everyone but himself for everything that's happened. So it's a weird encounter because there's again, people are coming up with ideas and thoughts that aren't actually communicated between the characters. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has more to add to that before the whatever. What are we going to call them? Let's coin a term here.
iRobot.
Tesla
bot.
Yeah, they do kind of look like the iRobots.
Tesla bots.
They do.
It's like if Riot made a skin for iRobots, like yeah, that's great.
Wild Wild West playing in the back. Oh no, wait, that's a different movie.
Yep.
Yeah. the iRobot just comes up and smacks Jace. That would be the best. Jace is ticked, which I dude, you're just lucky she saved anyone. Like, right. When people get mad about stuff like this, like, bro.
He's just mad he's alive. He wants to kill himself deep down inside.
Yeah, well.
Is this where we're supposed to be, where you dislike Jace again? Right? Because last time we saw him was episode...
Yeah, and you were like all on the Jace train.
You were all on the Jace train again, so now we had to go back to you dislike Jace again.
Yeah, he's just brooding and like...
Yeah. So it's cracking, right? We're on the up and down Jace train.
Yep, it doesn't... Yeah, it never changes. It's guaranteed every other. So he's going to be cool in the finale, I take it. He's going to be less
if he's even in the finale.
And more useful. Yeah, true.
Just skip the next day. Yeah, the next episode, we're supposed to skip a lot of these characters. So I guess we're only seeing Echo in the finale.
Yeah, exactly. And he's really milking like his injury. Like, are you injured or are you not injured? I'm confused. Because he's like fine, he can fight, but like he can't get up a step sometimes. So it's like, come on, dude, like pick a direction here.
Yeah.
And also, it's like
you scaled a cliffside shortly after you broke your leg.
Yeah, I mean, Batman didn't like walk around with a gimp, until he was like 80 years old. When rightfully so, like he put the bat suit on, and he got right to work. It's not hobbling around the boardroom of your $1 billion enterprise. Oh, woe's me, poor Jace. Like my struggles are so hard.
Yeah, but let me pick up this like 300-pound steel hammer or whatever.
And
my girlfriend's back. You stupid.
Another little. We don't want to be the MCU, but we might be the MCU. In when Jace gets teleported,
They should have invented the
Ooh.
MCU. That's what they should have done.
yeah, see, the real MCU never happened. This is
Yeah.
this
This
is
is going to be the
Riot
first
inventing
interconnected cinematic universe for sure.
the first time we've ever seen anything
Yeah.
like this, guys. Anyways, when Jace gets teleported to the future alternate reality, whatever it ends up being, he goes to try and drag his hammer along and finds he cannot pick up the hammer.
It's not worthy. It's not
So
worthy of the
is the
hammer.
hammer helping him pick itself up? Because that's a big hammer. So the hammer being magic apparently helps him pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
So he can carry this hammer around because the hammer deems that he can carry it around, I guess, is what I'm getting at here. So
Yeah.
It's definitely not named Mjolnir or whatever
yeah.
Thor's hammer is named. Yeah, so Angsty Jace is back. But so is Victor's like Husk Tesla bot. And dude, the Tesla bots look so cool. Like I love the way they look. Beautiful design. But we got a cool fight scene here of
It's like a nice blend between like a clicker and an iRobot robot. Like there's somewhere like they're a nice blend.
yeah, and you got like the Victor like bedazzlement, right?
Yep.
But yeah, we get a cool fight scene. Jace and Mel reluctantly team up to defeat this Victor bot.
Injured Jason. I don't know how to use my powers, Mel. Barely squeezed through in this one.
Yeah.
Well, and again, Mel attempts to use her powers but doesn't know how to use her powers, and then when the situation gets really desperate, her emotions appear to take over, and her eyes actually change gold again, and then she actually can put out all of her power. So there's still her trying to learn how to control her powers, and doesn't seem to be able to do it without some kind of external pressures put on her. And then suddenly she's got a whole bunch more power than what she's able to.
Literally a Super Saiyan.
Yeah, literally classic woman. Can't control her emotions, and then
Wow.
her emotions just either save the day or ruin the day.
I don't have any comments.
That's Michael's hill to die on.
Yeah. Yeah, so after this, Mel is only in like one more scene. Well, after this, Mel and Jace kind of have a little conversation walking through the
Jace
building.
says he's been an asshole and he's sorry.
Yeah. Brooding, angsty Jace has apologized.
And isn't Jace's other scene is just when he like shows off the Tesla bot that nearly took their life.
Yeah.
Left me scarred and deformed.
He does this speech that everyone kind of walks away from, like, this guy's kind of crazy.
Dude, I like how everyone walked out. Like there's like 4 people left.
Yeah.
Trying to
Everyone's like,
amass
no one cares.
Everyone's
the Piltovers on army
when he shows them this thing, but of course they've already had we had assassins come in and murder people. We need to rally when Mbesso was there, and everyone's like, I guess, but she had an army. You're here with a little sparkly hammer telling us
you can't even walk up that step.
Yeah, exactly. We're out. Peace.
Yeah. Does Mel say she's like going somewhere during this scene? I forget. No, okay.
She does not tell anyone she's going to see her mother.
Okay. Well, the next time we see Mel, she's going to see her mother, and the cool scene of the background image in the thumbnail happens. She's roasting up those petricite runes, which I still want to know why they need to be toasty.
They don't glow green until they put them in the fire, so it almost has to be.
It's like it charges them up.
I assume as they absorb magic, they lose their green glow.
Is the magic just flammable or something? I gotta burn it off.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe they absorb fire. Fire is not actually real; it's actually magic.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is true. Fire is kind of magical.
Mind blowing.
Yep.
I love it. We'll just never mind.
It's like
Yes.
birds.
Yeah, it's bird, space,
Yeah.
spherical Earth. None of it's real. It's all magic. But yeah, so Mel, she heads to the commune, right? And Bessa's still in the commune,
That's
camped
Arcane
out.
now. Little camp.
And they have the conversation. You know, Mel confronts Mbessa about Kino's death. Which, did we get like a solid answer yet about like what exactly happened? Because again, I feel like this was still just a ton of word salad where they spend like 2 or 3 minutes talking, but like don't actually say it. I feel like, never mind, not gonna go there. That would have been a funny joke, but it might be too soon, so we're not gonna go there.
At the best I can tell, because Shadow Figure gives a version of what happens, and Mbessa has given like 6 versions of what happened, which Mel confronts her on. As far as I can tell, Kino, for whatever reason, start snooping around into Mbessa's past, finds her involvement with these mages, and finds out that Mel was born, and finds out something about how Mbessa was hiding Mel away from these mages, and the mages then take Kino prisoner and offer it sounds like the Black Rose offered Kino as a trade to get Mel, and Mbessa said no, so they killed Kino. That's
Like her. She
which
doesn't want him. We don't really want him. Let's get him out of
it's
here.
like, they try and use him as a bargaining piece because they really want Mel, because Mel is the mage,
Right.
and Mbessa doesn't want to give up Mel. The Shadow Figure says Mbessa doesn't want to give up Mel because Mel is a weapon. Mbessa knows Mel will develop into a mage and plans on using her at some point in the future. That's what the Shadow Figure says. All Mbessa says is she didn't want to give up one child to save the other child's life. She wasn't going to make that call. So she just said, you know what?
She clearly said, Mel, you're my favorite.
Exactly. Yeah. She
I mean,
favorite by saying she was doing nothing.
Yeah.
the way I kind of interpret it is that, you know, through all the various word salad conversations about this, where no one's really like saying it flatly, I like to think that obviously Mbessa and the mages have a feud, right? They have relations, and maybe Kino was starting to investigate the source of that, or at some point I feel like they thought he was the child they were looking for. So I just feel like somewhere in there he got involved in it and was looking, you know, trying to figure it out. And obviously figured out too much and found out, and then got by the mages. And then they figured out, obviously, oh, Kino's not the one. It must be the other one. So I feel like through the mages trying to figure it out, he figured it out.
Right.
And that's how we got to where.
And that's how he ended up in the situation. Because Mbessa does say she hopes Mel never gets to a point where she needs to forsake one child for another child. So Mbessa had to make the call, Kino or Mel. She chose Mel, essentially. So they obviously, they obviously offered Kino up as a bargaining piece in a swap situation, it seems. And when Mbessa declined, they had no more use for Kino. But you're right. I take it as Kino, through his own investigations, led the Black Rose to making the discovery of which child are they after.
Yep.
Didn't the opening scene with Mel and LeBlanc didn't that kind of go into how Mel was conceived, kind of like this hint at something about like
whoever this dude is that she
how
met on the
she
travels
came around, right?
That was in episode 5 or episode 6, how Mbessa was kind of frequented this one area and ended up falling in love with someone and having an affair. That was quite a few episodes ago. They didn't touch on that really more in this episode that I'm aware of.
And I wonder if, like, because again, the Ambessa reveal cinematic, I wonder if maybe it has something to do with the whole, kindred experience. Maybe, I don't know. I wonder if that has something to do with it. 'Cause she was pregnant with, I assume, Mel.
I assume that's Kino in those ones.
Okay. Because in that, sorry, in that cinematic, like, when she pulses with the light or whatever, like it shows the baby, and it also like pulses with that light. Don't know what that all means, but I wonder if there's some sort of link between those. But yeah, basically, what's the offer that Mel makes Ambessa here to kind of like quell the whole Victor Ambessa just wreaking havoc?
Don't destroy the city, and I'll go with you to fight the Black Rose myself.
There you go. And Ambessa's like, "Nah, dude, I'm good.
I've got supers. Have you seen what's outside?" And then Mel goes and looks outside, and she's like, "Oh, that's not good.
Whoopsies.
Yeah.
You're way ahead of me."
Here.
Yeah. And then maybe sinks in more. Well, and I don't even know, was that offer legitimate? I'm not really sure. It's so hard to tell, because it's like, is Mel actually on the mage's side at this point, or is she legitimately playing at, is there some ability for myself to appeal to my mother's reason? Yeah. I can't really take, because it seems like she's offering this to Ambessa, but she herself is not bought in. So it's like she's throwing this out there without it actually being a legitimate offer. I
feel like she's just kind of playing her hand there, seeing how her mother reacts and where that goes.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it.
Like she's fully bought in, which seems like if you're going to your mother, you want to be fully bought in.
Right. It doesn't make a convincing like argument on your part. If you're like, well, I mean, I could do this if you want.
Yeah. So it kind of seems like Mel has already made up her mind that nope, my mother is bad.
Yeah, because I was wondering the same thing of like when she said that, I was like, so what is she trying to do? Is she trying to set up Ambessa by taking her to the Black Rose, or is she like using her cool like Letterman's jacket necklace of the Black Rose to like give Ambessa access to the Black Rose for Ambessa to defeat them or settle the score or whatever?
The necklace doesn't show, right? Like it's invisible.
The necklace is invisible as far as it. When she puts it on her neck, it's there, and then it just kind of fades away.
Yeah. So yeah, I couldn't really make heads or tails of her intent there too, which just lends more credence to what you're saying, Venom, of like where maybe Mel also doesn't know what her like end game is in this situation, so she's just like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. But Ambessa refuses. She's like, I got all these like Tesla robots out there, Victor's on my side. I got the Noxian army. Like we also have this like unkillable werewolf monster. We got Singed. Like I'll just go defeat the Black Rose myself. Like I don't need you. And yeah, that's kind of where we leave off with Mel and Ambessa. Where you guys want to go next? Because I feel like for me, that's kind of like the meat of the episode. I feel like
we should probably do Victor. Well, yeah, there's not much more to talk about with Vi and Jinx and Kate outside of the one
nothing happened,
not make sense at all situation. But
yeah, I would like to get into Jinx's whole like, conversation with Silco and
Right.
like
Let's
what
do.
is going on in her mind, but maybe we can save that for the end because we're kind of, Victor ties
Yeah,
into
let's go
Mel
back
and
and do the
Bessa, so.
Victor part because that ties in with the super soldiers we have found and everything. And the Mel, Victor, Jace side of things does not have anything at all to do with the Jinx side of things. So that would tie up that whole half.
Yeah, and the last thing that we jokingly talked about, the last thing we saw with Jace, but really the last thing we saw with Jace is he's trying to amass an army to, defend Piltover and Zaun. He makes his plea to both Piltover and the Undercity, and not many people are buying in. Some people do, though. It's worth noting that he does get some people to buy in, but that's where we leave off with Jace. So yeah, take us over to Victor, Venom, if you could.
Yeah, so the first we see of the commune when we get into this episode is after we've dealt with Mel's stuff, we get the burial ceremony of the fallen Noxian soldiers, with Mbessa sending them off. And Singed is working kind of on using the blood from Vander to keep Victor alive. At this point, it appears at the beginning of this episode that Vander is dead. It appears that Vander is dead. It appears that all of the commune members are dead. And you get Jace in a new cocoon, another cocoon, a round cocoon this time, that Singed is trying really, really hard to keep Victor alive. He's using the blood from Vander to keep him alive, which ultimately was his goal. He was hoping the blood from Vander would, of course, save his daughter. But at this moment, trying to save he realizes trying to save Victor is more important, because if he can save Victor, Victor appears to have the power to heal anybody. So Singed wants to keep Victor alive because Victor can keep anybody alive himself. And that's what he tells Mbessa, is that the key to beating death is keeping Victor alive.
So it's like Singe's plan to be like, in his mind, he's like, okay, I'm gonna fix Victor. Then I'm gonna be like, Victor, can you do the thing? Can you do the thing that you do, but like on my dying or dead daughter, but not without the whole like strings attached hive mind?
Yeah, can you
part.
also not be my daughter?
Yeah. Right. Well, and it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, Singed is a very, very, very bright person. He has to understand a little bit of what's going on with these, hive mind creatures. But up until this point, outside of Victor being able to and we don't even necessarily know, because at no point does, in at least what we've seen, at no point does Victor communicate to Singed through his people. The only place we have seen that is where Salo and Jace had the conversation. So we don't necessarily know, does Singed even know that these are basically hollow shells? Or not? At this point, we don't know that they're hollow shells. They appear to be a collective intelligence. What comes back after Victor comes back to life is very much these are just basically fingers and arms and legs of Victor's consciousness himself.
I also love how like they're like, we're going to very clearly say the thing like many times.
Many times.
The glorious evolution.
Yeah.
Which, side note, completely unimportant, but I just love listening to Singe talk. Yeah. Like his voice and like whatever the weird like accent, like speech cadence. I just Singed,
just the
voice acted So good.
The
Love it.
patience in his
Yeah.
him and Silco also with the patience, the just everything will work out if we just stick to the plan.
Yeah.
For Silco, and Singed obviously appears to be the same. It's just his plans have always been hidden, where Silco's were always at the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
yeah. So we get some Victor and Sky scenes here, like floating heads in the cosmos of the cocoon and wild rune, whatever is going on there, and yeah. What do you make of these like cosmic scenes, Nick, of Victor in the rune, his conversations with Sky here?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's what happens to us when we die. Like we go kind of like post physicality, and it's all very ethereal, cosmos, join the universe type thing. They're in this weird space where they're like tethered to, like Victor, right, being like the hive mind leader and this like healer of the heck with the hex tech in there. So, I mean, and we saw it before in the other episode where they're kind of like exploring. I mean, that's how they navigate and like we're researching things. Like that's how they went through Vander's mind to kind of like unlock him. So I feel like they're really just tapped into like a more cosmos ethereal realm.
It's like consciousness as a whole is a separate realm that he's able to tap into. Yeah,
they can navigate it that way. And I don't know if she is like, if she just exists in that realm. Obviously the hex tech put her there when she got nuked by the hex tech, whereas like he got nuked by the hex tech, and that's where and I was saying that in the episode where he comes back, like that's where he was and went. But his kind of like shocking like revelation was he got tethered back to the physical world with his body that the hex core kind of took over. So he's kind of in this unique situation where he has a tether back to the real world. She much like a ghost could, he could see her footprints and she led him somewhere. But yeah, it's definitely kind of like bridging concepts of like death and afterlife, but also like just like the idea of like our souls and or cosmic entities, like Venom said, like our consciousness is like a plane of reality.
It clearly they're showing it a plane on top of the existing plane, because like you said, he can see her footprints, which obviously aren't in the real, they're not in the real physical world we can see, but because Victor is tied both places, he can see it. And that same thing happens when he is fighting Jace as the one super soldier. He sees the light begin to erupt from the cosmic, the consciousness plane where Mel is. He can see all. It's like an extra dimension that he can see and can exist. His mind exists in that plane, and the physical beings that he inhabits are just access to the normal planes.
Yep. The Victor didn't choose the rune life. Rune life chose Victor.
He's just navigating it in his own ways. It would seem, because he keeps coming to these new conclusions about things. I am interested. I am most interested in seeing how he, and if he becomes like in-game Victor by the end
the
of
Machine
this.
Herald. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because he tells Singed at one point in the episode, he's like, you can begin the process or whatever. And when he said that, I was like, oh, he's gonna turn into the Machine Herald. Well, Singed is gonna make him into the robot man he's supposed to be.
We should point out that pre this season, Victor was a totally different Victor than he is now because League just updated his character. They gave him all new visuals and everything. They changed his backstory, as far as I know. They changed his visuals and everything like that. So he never actually becomes exactly like he was in the game, because the game version is now the Arcane version.
Yeah, so
they changed that. But we do get a little bit of a glimpse. The very, very end of the episode is a transformation happening of Victor. And it's weird because he loses touch with Sky, and it appears he loses touch completely with that other plane.
Mm-hmm. And when that happens, like, it also happens to Vander too, right? Or was that like a flashback of what happened to Vander?
Vander is, it's showing, I think it's showing the link when, and it's basically explaining that all of the people that Victor has mind gooed, whatever, you can see the human parts of Vander, the parts of Vander that were still left are being burned up and eroded. He is losing his humanity and becoming only Machine Warwick, essentially, is
new
what
skin coming.
Yeah. So we have, because obviously the blood from Vander is transforming Victor into Super Victor. I don't, whatever Victor ends up becoming. It's so the blood of Vander is healing Victor's body and transforming his body, and in return, Victor is erasing all humanity from Vander, and you would assume the rest of the hulls.
Yeah.
So he is basically turning everyone into machines that he can then control.
Yeah. And by the way, the transformation reveal was pretty cool. It's kind of dark, so you can't really see all the specific stuff. But his face, I mean, I know it's not a striking resemblance, but all I could think of is the wolf.
Yep, I thought
Kindred.
Because he's absorbing Vander, who is part wolf.
Yeah,
he's absorbing Vander's blood. But I thought the same thing. It's like that's Kindred.
That looks like Kindred's head.
Looks like Kindred. What's going on here?
Or why did I say the wolf? I meant the lamb. that was bad misspeaking on my part. But yeah, I was like, wow, that looks a lot like Kindred's head. Interesting. So we'll see what happens there. And I mean, it kind of makes sense though, right? Because everything that we've seen with Kindred and people's experience with Kindred in their life or death moments, when they are allowed to win, when they're allowed to live or defeat the wolf, Kindred or the lamb is what they see, right? So Victor is,
he's
defeating death, so it would make sense to see the lamb in some fashion. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if that was the intent, but I'm glad I wasn't the only one that thought that, so feel a little better.
Nick was definitely thinking it the whole
time.
time.
Nick's like, oh yeah, that's definitely Kindred.
That's Kindred.
100%.
Yeah, but man, I'm real sad that Victor's not a robot man anymore. So Singed kind of transforms Victor here, and during this, he reveals that the anomaly in the hex gates will complete his transformation and enable him to perform the glorious evolution of everyone, right? So that's the same thing that Echo, Heimer, and Jace all interacted with, I'm assuming. Is that safe to assume that? That's what he's referring to?
It shows the chamber, and we actually see Jace in that room after he makes his appeal. The last thing we see of Jace is Jace in that room staring at the core of the hex gate. So it is very clear one side needs to defend the hex gate. The
The
other
Nexus?
side is
No,
going
I'm just
to
kidding.
assault. The other side is going to be assaulting the hex gate.
Yeah, very League of Legends like.
Yeah, that's your tower. Your
Yeah.
tower is being
Yeah. So, and that's
Shoot.
kind of wraps up that's arc. Do you have anything else you want to add on the Victor arc, Nick?
Nope.
No.
He's cool.
All right. So yeah, definitely sets up the alleged, supposed conflict to come in the finale, but we'll see once we finally push play what actually happens in the
you
finale.
hit play. Echo's the only person we haven't seen yet. Echo shows up and is just like, pulls his string, everything rewinds, episode's over.
Yeah.
Going back 6 seconds, folks.
Yeah, we're going back 6 seconds, which in this universe is all the way back to the beginning.
But what if he gets there like 8 seconds after the calamity and the world ends, and he's just like, it's just him for like 10 minutes pulling the string, and it just keeps going back and not making a difference.
Trying to start the lawnmower.
Yeah.
If you go back 4 seconds, can you quick go back another 4 seconds?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or does he go back to 4 seconds before Jace gets saved by the mage and just kill Jace in the snowy field?
Oh no, it's the whole baby Hitler question. Oh man. Oh geez, Nick's thinking.
I was just trying to think if there's a way for him to indefinitely go backwards.
By just going back 4 seconds over and over and over again.
Yeah, but you always return to where you started.
But if you return to 4 seconds before, so he pulls the cord and it goes back 4 seconds. So if he just pulled the cord again right away, could he not get? It takes a second to pull the cord. Can he not just keep pulling the cord and slowly work his way back in time?
Well, like when he did it with Heimer, when he tested it out and Heimer basically exploded, everything was moving in like the Flash, like Speed Force, super slow motion.
Was he not committing to going backwards there? Or he was?
He was, but they were literally replaying the same thing. And
but like my question is like, when he's pulling the thing, does time as it's rewinding, like, is everything moving in super slow motion? Therefore, like, the cord is still pulled. So like he can't keep pulling the cord because it's already pulled and doesn't become pullable again until it resets.
But if it only goes back to when he started pulling the cord, he wouldn't be able to reverse anything.
Yeah, I think he would have to just...
It has to go back prior to him pulling the cord.
He'd have to, like, muscle memory just keep...
Dad needs to insert one of the, like, that SpongeBob, like, 3 hours later.
Yeah.
Like, anyways.
Like the SpongeBob inflatable arm. He's just got a really big arm from... Anyways.
Guys, it's not what you think.
Yeah.
All right, so that just leaves us with Jinx in the cell.
Sad Jinx.
And her little conversation with Silco, and like that weird scene where she's like has the rune.
Yeah, does she
like
actually
in her mouth? Like, what is she?
I don't understand. Does she actually have that? I don't.
I was wondering like where the heck that even came from, and then like why are you chewing on it? Like,
I don't honestly know. I don't honestly know if I even know for real. I might not even be playing on that. I don't know that she actually has that, so I don't know why they show it.
Well, it's just that whole unreliable narrator bit, right? I mean, because everyone knows Silco's dead, but he's there talking to her. So like,
but why the heck?
Because she's going through psychosis, right? So it's like maybe she thinks she has it, and maybe she thinks she can eat it and like end it all, end the cycle, right? It's like I don't know if you've ever seen Mr. Robot, but Mr. Robot basically is an entire show of the unreliable narrator trope, and there's a lot of stuff that isn't real that's happening all the time. But yeah, like she's broken. to say the least. Also, the pigtail ponytails are undone, and it's just like a whole cell of blue hair.
That is
So
wild.
much hair. Holy crap. But yeah, what do you think of this conversation with Silco, Venom?
It's hard to say how much is actually there, or if we needed this conversation. I mean, obviously she's pretty broken. She just took in a sister slash daughter, and everything was starting to go well for her for the first time ever, really, and then watched that sister daughter
Yeah.
sacrifice herself, and basically lost everything. She doesn't know if Vi is okay or anything like that. She's thrown in jail immediately, and she just has put herself in a situation of basically nothing good can ever happen to. And I think she tells Caitlin that there are no happy endings.
Mm-hmm.
So she is clearly bought into there is no happiness. There's nothing I can possibly do to fix everything that is wrong. And I don't know, this conversation with Silco, she goes back and forth, and there's this whole break the cycle thing, and Silco telling her to walk away, and it seems like Silco is telling her to just get out of the situation, and Jinx is taking it like, I'm gonna go end myself.
Yeah.
So I don't even know that she's not receiving the conversation that Silco is giving her in her head. But
right. Yeah, it should be noted that when Vi and Caitlin have their first encounter in this episode, Caitlin's all like Vi is pissed at Caitlin for arresting Jinx. And Caitlin said, no, dude, she like came and turned herself in. Like I couldn't even do anything because it happened so fast. Like by the time I found out, she was already in the cell. But yeah, like you said, Venom, things were finally going right, and it all literally blew up in her face, like her entire world. So yeah, she is just devastated. And what do you make, Nick, of the breaking the cycle conversation? And you're muted. But yeah, like Venom said,
like
he kind of Silco puts out one thing and Jinx interprets it seemingly completely different way. But yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, that stuff's always cool. Especially when I guess she's trying to. Yeah, it's weird because she's not hearing it from Silco. She's kind of recalling it in her mind somehow. Like, what would Silco say? It's weird because this is very like brand new information from quote unquote Silco. So it's like it's not like he said this before, unless he had said that before and she's recalling it, or like she's literally just coming to these conclusions through Silco, which is more likely in her psychosis. So, I mean, it's always a fun play on words, a fun spin on the whole human condition, right? Because it's kind of the human condition that Heimendinger had about Arcane and magic, and like the human condition like is what ruins it. But like the whole like killing as a cycle is like both like a very bad thing about the human condition, but also like the idea of just walking away is like something that's very powerful about the human condition. Because yeah, it is a cycle until someone just stops, I guess. Has the will to just like not
Have
continue
you ever
that.
tried just not doing that?
the other part of it was, we are our own prisons.
Right.
I mean, she's physically in a prison, but the physical prison is nothing compared to the mental prison she is currently inhabiting.
Yeah.
So the fact that you are your own prison, and until you learn to let go, walk away from it, you'll never escape that. And,
Yeah.
just like in real life, where Silco says something and Jinx appears to take it completely the wrong direction, her mind Silco is telling her something and she is taking it a completely wrong direction, even though it's in her mind, and she's still messing up the signal here.
Yeah.
But
So even though she's thinking she's breaking the cycle, she's actually repeating the cycle
yeah,
of misunderstanding.
and staying within her own prison.
Yeah.
She's allowing the prison to basically win.
Yeah. But so we don't see her fate this episode. But I choose to believe that she has some sort of plan. I don't think she's like they make it appear to be like a suicidal type maybe path, but
There's
clearly
foreshadowing that tells us what happens.
Clearly there's a plan. What is it? What happens?
I can't tell you. You can figure it out though.
Okay, Nick, let's figure this out. Shadows of the Four. What happened?
So we can figure out what happens by like what she says to Vi, and then like goes away.
No, it has nothing to do with Jinx herself.
Oh,
But it happened in this episode, or just
Didn't
like
happen.
up to this part, up to this point?
Up to this part, it has been foreshadowed.
Okay, what's gonna happen with Jinx here, Nick?
She is gonna blow up the lane.
You guys are gonna forehead when you see it.
I don't even know.
He's gonna blow up the lanes. Okay, what has been foreshadowed?
It's the shadowing that has been forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't. Nothing's coming to mind. I'm drawing a blank as Venom just looks at both of us in extreme disappointment.
Not gonna give it to you, but it's right there.
Yeah, I guess time will tell as we watch the finale here shortly.
Caitlyn's pregnant.
Nick, I don't think it works that way.
That has nothing to do with Jinx, though. I'm talking about what happens with Jinx has been foretold, but
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you meant like overall everything.
no, not everything. If you guys see what's happening with everything,
I can't. That's the only thing I do know.
No.
Jinx.
The only thing I do know.
Yeah.
What could happen to Jinx?
I did not see what happens coming, and I'm still not necessarily sure I'm happy with it. But it is definitely better than some. They didn't completely drop the ball on it, but she
tells Victor she's sorry.
It's going to take some talking through.
Or no,
I'm talking in general now.
Yeah.
In general now. No, not with Jinx.
Yeah, I can't. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm sure as soon as I watch this episode, I'm just going to be like blasting or blowing up the message on Discord, being like, "Bro, how did I not know that?"
Yeah. Nick's gonna go watch it right after this, and he's going to be like, "Son of a God, yep. Why did I not see that?"
Yeah, man. Geez, you're maybe it's just a good poker face, but your explanation of what happens in the finale just there makes me very. I mean, I didn't have high hopes, but it very much lowered my expectation of any of my bold predictions coming to pass. But we'll see. I will see in the next episode.
There's a big curveball. There's still a big curveball to come.
Okay. But yeah, anything you guys want to feel the need to say before we end? No? All right. Well, make sure you guys leave a comment and subscribe so we can give you these lovely Steelbooks. And let us know what you thought of episode 8, and really looking forward to next week's episode. I'm sure it'll probably be a little bit longer than normal because of course we'll go through the episode, but then we'll also do some speculating on maybe what future Riot projects could look like, what the ending of Arcane could possibly spin off into, things like that. But yeah, man, I'm both very excited and kind of sad because this has been a really fun season for me. I love League of Legends. Being able to talk about it this much has been a blast. Venom, it's been really cool to podcast to you. And a little primer before your appearance on Pokeboys here next season. But yeah, we'll see you next week. See you guys. Nick, I hope you never change your little subtitle.
No, I think I like it. I think I'm keeping it.